everyone. Dr. Francis wishing you happy holidays. When you're looking for that perfect present to gift to those you love, look no further than Walmart. This year, joyfully and giftfully with the diversity of products created by Black entrepreneurs. This message is sponsored by Walmart.
Welcome to the Black Entrepreneur Experience podcast. Inside the business, buzz, and brilliance of Black entrepreneurs. Here's your host, Dr. Francis Richards.
What happens in Vegas goes all over the world on Black Entrepreneur Experience, episode number 266. Thank you for joining us as we elevate the Black Entrepreneur Experience by interviewing CEOs, thought leaders, innovative thinkers, and Black entrepreneurs across the globe. I'm your host, Dr. Francis Richards. CEO and founder of Colors Worldwide, creative entrepreneur Jabari Johnson. Welcome.
Hello, Dr. Richards. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
I've given our audience such a brief bio. Why don't you fill in the gaps and share with our audience what you'd like them to know about you and your business?
Absolutely. So I'm just all around entrepreneur. I love music. And my company, as you said, I'm the founder and CEO of a company called Colors Worldwide. And we're a pretty unique business. I'd like to think of us as a genre amplification company. Our goal is to amplify and extend the reach of different genres in the arts that we feel are underserved. And our first product and platform, if you'd say, would be something called R&B only, which started out as a live event, and that was focused on playing R&B music for people that just enjoyed it and that were not able to hear it in the way that we played it. And it's kind of grew into a global sort of phenomenon that spans across pretty much all of North America, England, and a lot of other places to come. But that's what we do. And yeah, I'm just really excited to, talk a little bit more about our journey and sort of where we're going.
So talk about, how did you come up with this concept?
Yeah, so I've always been into music. I've loved music since I was a kid, primarily hip hop. When I was young, I was managing artists in my high school. That led to me going to Howard University and starting to interview artists when, they came to campus or came to DC. I was in school for advertising/journalism. I was interviewing a lot of artists for, various outlets online and just kind of for my own YouTube channel and that kind of thing. And that grew to, everything kind of just got more intense. And so after interviewing artists really quickly, I was like, I want to see if I can do like maybe some documentary style stuff on artists. And so when I graduated Howard, I started doing a bit more longer form content with some artists like Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, artists like Wiz Khalifa. And it allowed me to go to different shows with these artists and sort of like see their rise and the come up that they were having from a live perspective. And because I loved live music, I loved shows, I was like, I wonder if I could get into the live music space and not just the content creation space that I'm in with right now. I started to just have like really small parties, just hip hop parties. And those were great and amazing, but they were just, 200, 300, 400 people. And they were in a few different cities like LA, New York, and DC. These were cities that I had a lot of different roots in. I grew up and had a lot of family in New York. I was living in New York at the time. I had just gone to college in DC, and then I was working a lot in LA. And so it was just really small. But at the end of these parties, we used to play R&B music and have like a slowed down R&B set from music from past to present. So yeah, R&B from the 70s, 80s, all the way up until, current stuff. And I would just see the whole party dynamic shift and change. And a lot of people would be singing their hearts out. A lot of people would just be totally in tune with the music. And I said, I think that there's something here. I asked the crowd if I did an R&B only show, would you guys come? And everybody went crazy. And the rest is kind of history. That's how R&B only was birthed. And it started out as just, a show in Los Angeles. And it grew to a show that was, in about 24 months in 40 different cities across North America, doing, anywhere between 1,000 to 4,000 people coming. So it very quickly grew to be a huge touring entity in the live event space. And yeah, that's where the idea came from. It was an underserved market that just really needed to be served.
Talk about pivoting and how did you shift your business model during COVID since you talked about it's a live event?
Yes, absolutely. So COVID was just crazy for so many different businesses, but in the live event space, it was particularly challenging. Our goal had always been to sort of not just be a live event and really just amplify R&B music in general, right? So, but COVID was it sort of was a fast track to that, right? Because we couldn't do what we were known for doing. But one of the things, I'll talk about some of the things that we pivoted to in the event space. We did a lot of drive-in shows. So normally our shows are in concert venues, that you would see any given concert in America. And obviously those were and mostly still are shut down. So we were just getting very creative, and we would find maybe it was like a valley with that's just like empty private sort of patch of grass. And we booked the place in Orange County, and we did our first drive-in show where we had about 400 cars come into sort of empty area. We set up production, stage, lighting, sound, and we piped it in through people's car stereos as well as an actual PA system. And it was amazing. It was something that we replicated and did in multiple cities, but it was just really nice to, in the height of the pandemic, when a lot of people weren't going out, hardly anything was open at the time, we were able to give people some hope and an opportunity just enjoy themselves in a safe manner when, in the middle of the pandemic, we had no idea what was going on. We didn't know, a lot of people didn't even know at that time that outdoors was safer. So we had to really respect the, 6 feet rule and have the cars separated from one another. And so that was a pivot. Another pivot was producing a lot more content and digital shows online. We would stream our events, but we would like to tell a story with our streams. So we did a really big New Year's Eve DJ set where we played a ton of different R&B music, but we rang in the new year in a special way with each time zone in America. So that was like a 5-hour stream that we had to do and prepare for. It was really long. We did another Valentine's Day stream where it was a lot of people couldn't go out and experience a date that they would be used to on Valentine's Day. So we said, hey, we'll bring the music vibes to you guys virtually, but do something nice with yourself or with your partner and kind of make a date night in your own home, if you will. And, we'll provide the soundtrack for that. There was a lot of different pivots from the event side, but then also it wasn't necessarily a pivot. It was always in the plan. But I think the biggest thing was us announcing our campaign to sort of raise capital for our business from the public, from our fans, to actually become co-owners of our business and invest in the expansion of our business outside of events. And so that's what we're doing right now. The platform is called startengine.com that we are raising capital on. And it's startengine.com/R&B only. And basically, we're getting into just much more than live events, right? So we're planning on releasing content around R&B music, whether it be podcasts, whether it be digital shows highlighting R&B culture. We're creating an educational and a community platform for R&B artists and creators to actually have a learning resource to understand how to use best practices to sort of benefit their careers, but also to collaborate and find people to work with in the space. We're also just revamping and developing a lot more new ideas for R&B artists and our brand to have a lot more offerings in the merchandising space, because there's just a huge lack for products and clothing that are sort of like R&B related and R&B artist driven for people out there. So those are some of the expansion plans and pivots that we did during something like this crazy pandemic that we've all been experiencing.
And what can we do right now, Jabari, to help your business, Colors Worldwide?
Yeah, so I think the best thing would be to go to that page, right? So startengine.com/R&B only is where we've outlined sort of the history of the business, what we've been doing over the past 6 years and how we've been able to introduce this first product, which is called, R&B only, and the accomplishments and success that we've had with that. And then we really outline where we plan to go in the next 1, 2, 3 years as it relates with the expansion of all of our offerings with that product. And then, just if it's of interest and if it's something that you like to be along for the ride on as an actual co-owner in the business, you can invest in the business right there. And yeah, it's really simple. A lot of these platforms that have enabled this equity crowdfunding thing are just so cool to me, because it gives you a chance as an investor to invest in private companies, before they kind of blow up, if you will. It's really cool. And I think a lot more people are going to start getting in tune and involved with some of these platforms and actually being co-owners of some of these young companies.
Jabari, what is your zone of genius?
I think probably connecting with people. I understand that we're here not alone. There's billions of people on this earth, and I'm constantly trying to improve my connections with folks. And that's me trying to be a better leader in my organization. That's me trying to be a better family member, better brother, better son. And yeah, I think that I'm always striving to be better. But as it relates to my community, sort of my internal community, and then also the community at large, it's important to me to do something and do things that are not just self-serving, you know what I mean, and actually have an impact on other people. So yeah, I think that just trying to be a better person for those around me is huge.
Talk about legacy. When it's all said and done, how do you want to be remembered?
I've been thinking about this a lot recently, and I think that legacy is something that is about what happens when you're not here, right? And it's very rare for most people to be remembered shortly after they're not here, right? Like time is ever changing. And when you think about the people that are spoken about for years to come after their deaths, it's just extremely rare, right? You have to do a lot of work to sort of like be in that upper echelon of those that are remembered past years after they're gone. I've started to realize that I want to work on problems that probably won't get solved while I'm here. A thing that's been on my mind recently is just like healthy food and food deserts. And I recently even just found out, maybe over the last 5 years, what a food desert was, and how there are communities that a lot of my family is in, and I've been in growing up, where there might not have been healthy food or fresh food available for 5 miles, 10 miles. And when you think about those type of problems, those are problems that a lot of people are born into, and they don't even understand and know that it's a problem. And so the cycle and the implications of that kind of problem, it keeps going. And it's something that it's a huge trap. And I think that that's something that in a country like ours, especially, it just shouldn't even exist. I think that that's something where I think technology, I think resources, I think the way tax funds are allocated are all huge, pieces to the puzzle on how you solve a problem like that. But I know it's not something that can be solved overnight. I have an interest in solving some things like that, some things that are just a lot bigger than me and that affect our communities. And they might not get done while I'm here, but I think that I'd like to sort of lend a hand and however I can be helpful to solving some problems that are just outside of things that might be fixed in my lifetime.
Who is Jabari Johnson, and what matters to Jabari?
I would say Jabari Johnson is just a caring person, someone who's constantly trying to solve problems. I'm a very fun person. I like to have a lot of fun and have fun with the people around me. I think kind of what I was saying earlier, especially in these COVID times, we've all been in isolation, right? And a lot of us have been focused on us and ourselves and individuality, and how do we keep ourselves sane during this time. It's such a unique and interesting time in human history right now, because you have like another person is a sort of threat, and you have to figure out how to connect with people in these ways that are not that they're not real, but they're just they're different, right? Like how we're connecting right now. And I think that I really care about community and human connection, because I think that there's two sides to this coin where I don't want us to get so far down this path of individuality and caring about the self that we forget that we're all connected. And it's this whole world is like one big organism that needs each one of us to sort of make it progress. And we need to really just work together simply, like we all share this planet. And that's just a big thing that I care about. I think that that's why my sort of time, that's what my time in the live event space has shown me, is that there's nothing like seeing a room full of people singing the same song at once in unison. That type of camaraderie and shared values and experiences, you have a connection with the person, even if they're 100 feet away from you in the room. It's like the fact that everyone in there has come to experience this thing that they all value at one time. And you kind of can look at someone and just share a smile and know that you're in the company of someone who, thinks like you and values the same things that you do. I think that's just very important for people to be reminded of, especially in a time and society that is so focused on the self.
Speak about self-care. What does self-care look like for Jabari?
Self-care is definitely, for me right now, eating healthy. I think everybody can have, cheat days, and I think that's important. But for sure, just like keeping my mind and my body as healthy as possible. How I try to keep my mind healthy is I try to consume content and learn things. I try to learn something new every day, whether that's, the emails that come in that I'm subscribed to on topics of like business, marketing, that kind of thing, or the content I consume. I like to watch a lot of YouTube videos on things that I, want to learn about, not just entertain me. And I read a ton of books. I'm an avid reader. So that's how I like to keep my mind well, but also health is huge, and I found myself, I never liked jogging when I was a kid or running. I used to really dislike it, but now I find myself running around my neighborhood at least 3 times a week. And just, I like to do that either super early in the morning or late at night, kind of one of the two, oftentimes because I'm in my office when that's not in the daytime. So yeah, I think it's just really about my mind and body, keeping it as healthy as possible and not consuming a lot of junk, because there's a lot of junk out there from a content perspective as well as from a health perspective.
What book would you recommend and why?
So many. But, one of my favorite authors, his name is Ryan Holiday, and he has a book that I really enjoyed, and I find myself gifting it a lot. And it is called Ego is the Enemy. And it's rooted in this philosophy called Stoicism. That's, some ancient philosophy that really, I guess, emphasizes the fact that when things are going wrong or bad, there's probably someone else that has it like worse than you. It's a very like practical look at life. But he really just talks about how most times when you lead with the ego, you're bound to make a bad decision, versus when you sort of strip away your ego. Not to say it's not about removing the ego, but it's just about keeping the ego in check and sort of operating, knowing that, yeah, it's not just all about you and it's not just all about your pride. It's a really helpful book for me. And yeah, I think that everyone should think about keeping their ego in check. Again, it seems like the theme of what we're talking about is just about, especially with the self being so important right now in society. Yeah, it's just, it's one of my favorite books for sure.
Happy holidays to my fans, friends, and family of entrepreneurs. When you're looking for that just perfect present to gift to those you love, here's a piece of advice. Look no further than Walmart. Walmart has a huge selection of items ranging from toys to electronics to tech. But what's even more impressive to me, Walmart has a huge selection of items created by people just like you, from makeup to fashion to food and beyond. Walmart has that perfect gift just waiting for your special someone. Give the children in your life a doll that looks just like them, Have a teen who's all about hair and makeup? Create a beauty basket of Black products that are designed for her needs. Your best friend is looking to redo, updo, do new her space? Check out all the home decor Walmart has to offer from Black designers. This year, joyfully and giftfully with the diversity of products created by Black entrepreneurs. I'm Dr. Frances Richards, wishing you happy holidays. This message is sponsored by Walmart. Talk to a younger Jabari. What advice would you give to a younger you?
I would say probably it's okay when things don't go according to plan. You know, I remember just when I was young and I was a student at Howard and I was interviewing all these artists, and I really thought that I was going to be like the host of, it was my dream to be the host of 106 in Park, the show on BET. And I had gotten so far in the casting process for around the last few seasons that they had. And, you know, I thought that, you know, I have so much prior past experience. I have all these different interviews with all these huge artists on my YouTube channel. I'm the perfect candidate for this show. And I was at the BET offices in the sort of last round of casting, and they ended up going with a rapper named Bow Wow. And he ended up being, but I was just devastated. It was such a blow to me at the time. And you know, I didn't know what I was going to do. And at the time I was living with my girlfriend, and I was like not shaving, and I was just so sad. But I realized months after that it's okay if things don't go to plan. You know, you just figure it out. And, you know, oftentimes too, I think that once you keep trying and you don't give up and you think about what your life could have been if you even went down that path, and quite honestly, I'm glad that didn't happen. You know what I mean? So when things don't go according to your plan, it's all right. And there might be an alternative path that you're going to go. But I think the will to not give up and the will to just find what that next thing is and always be trying. It's just like when you quit, that's when you know, okay, I've failed. Like the quickest way to failure is to not start or not try something. So yeah, when one plan ends, just don't quit and just find out what's next in your path. And that's what I would really tell my younger self, because when things didn't go my way when I was younger, it was a big problem in my head.
Jabari, I want you to have a monologue. I want you to name the person you're talking to, living or not. This person really impacted your life. Who is that person, and what are you saying to them?
If I'm honest, I would say my mother probably impacted my life the most. And I try to remind her of these things often, but I would tell her that her sacrifices were so impactful to the man who I have become. She had put herself second in so many instances, you know, as soon as I arrived, really. And she just put me first. You know, she always moved just wherever she needed to move to have the best job, to be able to provide for me. You know, she put me in these various programs. I went to so many different schools, and, you know, I did things that the other average middle-class Black kids weren't doing. And I was oftentimes like the only Black kid doing something because she thought it was important, right? Whether that was, you know, I grew up skiing, and I had a very diverse group of friends. And, you know, she just put me in these various situations to just better myself. And I think that she had a very good outlook on things that I should be doing as a kid. She was an educator, she still is. And having education be such a huge thing in our household, you know, she, if my homework wasn't done, there was no way I was going and hanging out with my friends, where my friends would just be like, you know, hanging out all the time. It was just, you know, or I couldn't quit things, right? Like even I remember I was on the football team my freshman year in high school, and I found out I had like a enlarged heart. My heart is a little bit bigger, slightly bigger than it's supposed to be. So it was affecting my endurance and stuff like that. But my doctor said it was safe for me to play. But, you know, I just had to use my inhaler a little bit more often. And I was just done. I was like, I don't want to do this. I don't really like football that much. And she was just like, you started this, you are going to finish this season. You just don't quit things. And, you know, it was huge. I mean, these things really molded who I am and how I operate and how I try to be as a leader, especially in my organization. So, but I think that at the time, she's just doing these things and instilling these things in me because of the values that she has and, you know, what she thinks is right. But I oftentimes, I don't know if parents understand just how big of an impact they might have on their children who then turn into adults and then, you know, live most of their lives as adults. I mean, I'm just forever thankful and grateful for the sacrifices and the things that she's instilled in me, and just trying to constantly make her proud because she's done so much for me. It's crazy, really.
What is the best decision that you have made as a leader?
I think the best decision I have made, and it's something that is always being done now, is you just can't do everything. I think that enabling and empowering others to do things is probably the best decision that I've made. You know, it's that age-old saying, if you want to go fast, go alone. And if you want to go far, go with people. And it's not just about enabling any and everybody to help you do things. It's really about finding the right talent to join the journey. For me, when I look at, you know, my leadership skills, I find that I can say, oh, that was a great hire. If I can say that was a great hire, or, you know, if someone does something in the organization that really helps us out and benefits and really, you know, proves their worth, kind of give myself a pat on the back when I've hired that person, because it's very, very difficult to have any level of success by yourself.
Talk about raising the capital to start your business. How did you raise the capital?
Yeah, when we started, I didn't raise any capital. So I'm a sole founder. I have no co-founders. It's just me that started this business. It was difficult for sure. In the beginning, it was actually because the company started as just a party, those were making a ton of money, you know, for just one person, right? I would just hire freelancers to, you know, maybe DJ or be a photographer or, you know, help check people in at the door. But the bulk of the profit and revenue, I was able to just kind of pay myself and put back into having the next event. So at that time, it was very, very easy to use the profits and expand. It got difficult shortly after when I started hiring people to work at the company. And now you have to pay salaries, and now you have to pay insurance, and now you have to pay tax. And then you just start seeing the profits diminishing. It was always, we just reinvested the money back into the business and tried to scale by bootstrapping, really. And that's what we did. And so, you know, what we're doing now with the campaign on Start Engine, reminder for people, just startengine.com/R&B only. This is actually the first time that we've ever raised any sort of capital and taken on any investment. And it's cool because it's micro investments. So we can reach out to our community at large. That's a community of hundreds of thousands of people, and, you know, and take very small investments from a lot of people for us to be able to expand. So I think that's really cool about this campaign.
And how long is the campaign?
There are some very weird SEC rules, and so we can't actually say when the campaign ends, but it's up right now. It'll be up for a while, so check it out there. But yeah, the campaign is definitely live and will be live for quite some time.
The word is listening. What is the resounding sound or message that your generation is saying to us that we need to be listening to?
I think if my generation is speaking to, you know, an older generation, I think we want to let this older generation know that, you know, everyone's not sort of cookie cutter and the same. There's a lot of differences, but we all are humans, you know. But I think that's been a story, especially, you know, politically, of sort of what these two generations are battling. It's really like an understanding of the differences in people. You know, a lot of the rights that people are fighting for right now is just, you know, saying that, hey, I'm a little different, you know, but that doesn't mean that I shouldn't be treated in the same way as everyone else. And then I think when you get even a younger generation than me, you know, I'm a millennial, but when you get to Gen Z, they're really highlighting their differences and embracing their differences. and they just want to be heard. They want their differences not to exclude them. I think everybody is just always fighting for inclusion and to be seen and just to be acknowledged, and saying, that hey, what we think is important, matters. That might be sexuality, that might be gender, that might be, just how you think. I think that that's what the younger generation kind of wants.
There are so many brands and businesses that are dominating. Talk about a brand or a business that's dominating that you admire and why.
Yes, oh man, there's so many amazing brands out there. I would have to say one that I admire a lot is probably just Nike. I think it's difficult for brands to evolve and, remain cool for a few years. They've done it for decades now, and they just continue to do it. I love how Nike, I'm a big sneakerhead. I love sneakers. And, Nike has a way of releasing product and it selling out almost immediately. They have an app called the Sneakers app. And time again, when they release, heavily sought after shoes on there, they're not available for most people. There's many more people trying to buy the shoe than is released. And oftentimes people just don't get it. But they come back, they keep coming back, and they keep trying to get it. And it's just like, and they're upset at Nike, but they still love Nike, because like you're upset that you didn't get any of the hottest sneakers that were released this year, but you have such a loyalty to this brand that you come back time and time again and keep trying to do it. And I think that, when a brand can accomplish that, it's really hard to be dethroned. So yeah, Nike is one of those brands for me that I'm always studying and love how they continuously reinvent themselves and get people hooked.
Talk about your worst moment in business and what was your takeaway?
I think the worst moment for me was, I think probably like having to fire people that were in the organization for a little bit of time for various things that they had done that I just never expected them to do. I think when you have high expectations of people and when people are doing a good job, but there's other things going on in their personal life that they're sort of bringing into work, and you just kind of don't know, and it's causing them to sort of change in the business. And I think that that for me was really difficult and something that I had to learn how to do. I think that once somebody is not a good fit for the organization, I think you should fire fast, because something that's a very small problem could turn into a much larger problem. And, something that's just affecting one person can quickly become like a cancer in the organization and could really affect a lot more people. So when it's not a good fit, it was really tough and painful, because also I had a friendship with the person that was working there. But yeah, it was really difficult at the moment, but it allowed me to just realize the sort of skill that was in firing someone, because once you know how to do that, you start to really know how to hire, and you start to really know how to retain, and how to help solve problems that are outside of work, because you're not employing robots, you're employing people, and people go through things that affect their work outside of work. If there's things that you can do as an employer, it might cause you to step outside of being an employer and, just be a caveat, a friend, just somebody to listen to, something that people are going through. Sometimes those things can really help somebody's performance.
Jabari, talk about your most memorable moment in life or business.
Ooh, I've had a lot of amazing, I've been blessed with a lot of amazing opportunities and memories. I would say, though, I'll give you the business. In business, probably one of the most memorable moments was when we first, stepped outside of North America with one of our R&B only live shows, and we did a show in London. I had been in London and England as a content creator. I had made a documentary for an artist over there that's really big named Tiny Tempa, who's one of my really good friends. And so I was coming back to do a show of my own with R&B only. And I think I had brought about 5 people from the company to produce that show. But everyone except me, it was their first time outside of the country. It was their first time ever going to another country, going overseas. Everybody had to get their passport for the first time. And I had just looked around and thought, wow, this is amazing. Everyone that, we're now in a different country. We're doing our jobs, doing what we love, doing what so many people love from us. And but it's also changing people's lives. You know what I mean? This little small idea that I had that really started as like a super small party has been able to allow people to travel abroad for the first time and get some unique experience that they're never going to forget, and that they're going to tell their children about the first time they ever went out of the country. I mean, it's all just from this little small idea I had. It reminded me of the power of an idea and just how companies and providing some sort of value to the world can just help change people's lives in ways that you can't imagine. And that was huge. So to see a crowd of over 1,000 people at that show for the first time that we ever had, done anything in England, and then also to just see my staff's faces and excitement and just traveling around London and seeing all kinds of stuff, that was amazing. And then right after that, half of us went to China to go to like different factories and get some like LED screens and huge production equipment for our tours. It was just like back to back. I had been to China before, but again, like the people that I went hadn't. And so that was another like culture shock. And just, being able to, have this thing take us around the world in so many cool ways is probably one of the most memorable experiences.
What is something that you dream about often that you have not done that you want to do?
I really want my company and business to have a much more of a global presence. So I think often I dream about producing shows in places in the world like Australia, just everywhere that I kind of want to go. Like there's so many countries in Africa that I want to visit, all over South America. I mean, and I don't take a lot of vacations because I don't really have a life that I feel like I need to vacation from. But I think that and it's not only shows. I just think that like what we plan to do with helping out artists and really amplifying the new generation of R&B talent that's all over the world. I just want to have more of a global footprint and a global brand. Yeah, having the business be able to take us all around the world is something that I dream about often. And it's a little hard to do right now with this COVID thing, but it seems like we're rounding the corner and getting to what seems to be the end. Yeah, that's something that we're going to be hugely focused on as soon as time permits.
If you conducted this interview, what is the one question you would have asked yourself? I want you to ask the question and answer it.
I would ask myself, you asked a lot of amazing questions, so you pretty much got everything in there. But I would say, I think, what is your short-term goal? A lot of people ask, what is your like long-term goal? But that's ever changing. And I think short-term, like in the next year, I want R&B only to be just synonymous with R&B music. I want when people to think about R&B music, past or present, we have enough stuff going on outside of events, digital or in-person events, but content, podcasts, shows, what we're doing with artists and releasing music. And maybe I'll say the next 2 years, but I just want people that are fans of R&B music at the very least know what R&B only and Colors Worldwide is providing in the space. So that would be what my question to myself would be.
What was your biggest win this week?
I think, there's like a win every day. So I think the biggest win this week was probably confirming these upcoming shows that we have in Texas. So Texas is allowing live shows. We are about to announce a mini Texas tour for R&B Only Live. And we have 3 shows. I don't even remember the last time we had a show in a venue. Maybe it was in Florida a long time ago. But it's been a very, very long time. And now we're able to have a show at a reduced capacity with some safety protocols in place in Texas. And we're able to have 3 shows. So that was huge. And we're getting ready to announce that next week. And huge win because it's back to some semblance of normalcy.
Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
I'm Dr. Francis wishing you happy holidays. When you're looking for that perfect
present to gift to those you love, look no further than Walmart. This year, joyfully and giftfully with the diversity of products created by Black entrepreneurs. This message is sponsored by Walmart. We've come to the part of our interview. It's called Fun Facts Lightning Round. I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I'd like you to give me very quick answers. If there's something you desire not to answer, feel free to say pass. Are you ready for the Fun Facts Lightning Round?
I'm totally ready.
Your first job?
First job was a bagger and a cart guy at a grocery store called Kroger in Ohio.
Your favorite color?
My favorite color is black. It matches with everything.
The last movie you saw?
The last movie I saw was, I could say the last TV show. I haven't watched a movie in a while, but the last TV show was a show called Generation on HBO about high school kids and Gen Z and sort of the challenges that they face.
Your favorite singer or rapper?
Oh, Jay-Z, but Eminem is a close second. So yeah, both of those guys, they're incredible lyricists and have had huge influences on my life.
You relax doing what?
Getting a massage. Oh man, there's nothing better. I love getting massages. Yeah.
What food you eat every week, no matter what?
I really love strawberries. So yeah, I think that's my it's a fruit, but that's my favorite thing to eat all the time. And because I live in California, they're kind of always available.
Your favorite dance song?
My favorite dance song, I think it might have to be like a Michael Jackson song, maybe like PYT. I think I would just love dancing to that.
Your favorite month?
Oh, my favorite month is January. I was born in January. I'm on the cusp of Capricorn and Aquarius, and it's just a fresh start. You know, you start the year off. That's when I was born. Just get going to the next year.
Workout or hit the couch?
I would say workout. If I'm really thinking about it, yeah. If it's coming down to one or the other, you're gonna get a quick workout in before I hit the couch.
Jabari, thank you so much for joining us on Black Entrepreneur Experience Podcast. Before we let you go, why don't you share with our audience the best way that they can connect with you, do business with you, and also support your campaign? And don't forget to leave all your social media handles.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. This was amazing, Dr. Richards. So for the best way to get in touch with us and see what we're doing, definitely right now, is to visit the campaign link, startengine.com/RNB only, RN as in the letter N, B only. And yeah, you can find us on Instagram, same thing, RNB only. That's pretty much, like I said, you know, Colors Worldwide is the company and R&B Only is our first product. So that's the thing that is primarily out there. And then for me, my social media is all just my name. Very simple. Just my first name, Jabari. So it's just Jabari on everything. Instagram, Jabari, Twitter, Jabari, YouTube, Jabari. It's real simple.
Thank you. That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening and subscribing to Black Entrepreneur Experience. We would love for you to leave a review and rating on iTunes and share with your friends. For show notes and more episodes, go to www.beepodcast.com. Join us next Wednesday, and remember, green is the new black. So keep your bank accounts and your business in the black.